So, simultaneous releasing. Can you release more than one trapped emotion or imbalance at the same time? We get this question a lot, and this is from people who are newer to this, of course. And the answer is no, you cannot, because each energy needs to be released individually. Each imbalance needs to be treated and released individually. Okay, so we all have that tendency to want to go faster and faster and do a lot of work. But the problem with that, and this is, by the way, in the new edition of the Emotion Code book, this is described in detail. But I'm going to paraphrase here what we said in there. Basically, remember what we're doing when we clear a trapped emotion, or really any energy imbalance, and a lot of other imbalances too. We're picking up in kind of almost like a moment in time where we left off with that experience. And so we're saying, like, okay, so you had this emotion of abandonment that occurred at age 31. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to clear it. So we're going to help you to process that. We're pushing along that emotional process. Now, let's just say that you tried to clear 50 of those all at once. Now, think about it this way. Could you really experience 50 times the emotional pain that you may have felt in the past when you got a trapped emotion? Could you? Could you experience it? I mean, I guess you could, but it would be horrific. And I don't think that our bodies and our subconscious minds allow us to do that for a very good reason. It would overwhelm us. You know, a lot of the time people have processing symptoms, like 20% or so of the time you have processing, and it's because you've kind of picked up in that moment of time, and you're kind of like, you know, manually sort of letting go of those old feelings that were painful. And, you know, multiplying that by 10 or 50 or 100 times, it just seems insane. And we absolutely couldn't handle that in real time. So why would we ever expect our bodies to be able to handle that kind of energetic movement when we're doing a session? It just doesn't make sense. Oh, Inga wrote a really great question about the releasing. Okay, so she says, don't you release two emotions when you release a psychic trauma? Technically, yes, and well, it's really a yes and a no, because we're not releasing two trapped emotions. A psychic trauma is different, and that's why it's called a psychic trauma rather than, like, you know, I don't know, a cluster of emotions. That's not really a term we use, because it's generally its own energy. So I want you to think of a psychic trauma like this. This analogy has really worked for me. A psychic trauma, let's just say it is anger and abandonment. It's no longer pure anger and pure abandonment. What we're doing is we're essentially identifying what the ingredients are that have made that particular energy. But a psychic trauma is its own energy. It's not the same thing as a trapped emotion. So I'm an artist, and so I think of things in terms of color a lot. So by identifying those emotions, it's kind of like you're identifying different colors that have made a new color. So like red orange, you know, you could say a color is called red orange. You can see that there's red, and you can see that there's orange, or you can see there's a little bit of yellow, right? You can see what went into it to make it, but it is its own color now. You can't pull them apart anymore. You can't separate those colors once they've been blended. That's what a psychic trauma is. You can't release part of a psychic trauma. So you're not really releasing two emotions. You're just releasing one energy that had multiple emotions that kind of made it up, but it is its own vibration, you know. And you know what we could do is we could really, if we wanted to sit around and make up a whole bunch of different words to describe these combinations of emotions, we could, but what's the point, right? Why complicate things? That's not what we're about here. We're about making it simple.